Today is Thursday, and we are blessed again to be here. And we thank God for the night that He granted us and the successful event that we had yesterday, celebrating the women in our church and in our continent. And today, we are also privileged to celebrate children because we are calling and we are echoing the words of our Lord Jesus Christ. Let the little children come to me. And this is the reason as to why we are here today, so that we may celebrate children. We may discuss pertinent matters and issues that pertain to children. And we may also look at what the church and the various states are calling us to speak, to do in relation to children, more so in the upholding of the rights of children and in taking care of the children that have been given or are under our care. So for us to start off, I would like to have a song. I know some of you know it, that it's actually sung by children, after which we will proceed. So DJ, give us that song. DJ.
Dunia tene mazamu tenkozesa bintu bichamu segu ya mwanadamu kuba bamu muli bachamu muli bachamu nze ndi okubeera nice oyagala opportunity nkuwaka chance wanodole ngulira chai owa amatanga kuliko n'amajani waliwo banchunya mu biri ebizibu nga baagala ngweve mu mirimu basibe bannawo
Thank you so much, DJ. And at this point, I would like to invite Father Benvenu to say a prayer for us before we officially begin the day. Thank you.
I'm going to pray in French, so please stand up. Je vais prier en français, s'il vous plaît, levez-vous. Au nom du Père et du Fils et du Saint-Esprit. Dieu notre Père, nous te disons merci. Nous te disons merci pour le don de la vie. Nous te disons merci pour le don de la santé et merci pour le don de la sagesse et de la science. Voici en ce matin, nous commençons une nouvelle journée, nous tournons nos yeux vers toi. Toi qui es le maître de la science, du savoir et de la vie. Bénis nos échanges, bénis nos conversations, bénis notre être ici ensemble comme corps, comme communion, comme participation. Fais que nos échanges soient marqués par la fraternité, par le respect mutuel, par l'écoute mutuelle, par une compréhension qui puisse permettre à chacun de partager ses joies, ses peines, ses mémoires, ses récits. Nous te prions, Dieu notre Père, que ton Esprit Saint descende dessous nous, qui puisse sanctifier nos échanges, notre rencontre, toi qui vis et règnes pour les siècles de siècles. Au nom du Père et du Fils et du Saint-Esprit. Please be seated.
Thank you so much. Before we start the plenary session, we have some few announcements to make. The first one is in relation to the books that were printed out or that came out as a result of the first Congress that we had in Enugu, December 2019. They're in 3 volumes, and these 3 volumes are on sale and would encourage everyone who is present in this house, please, if you've not gotten yourself a copy, please do that. The books will be placed outside for you to buy. They're in 3 volumes. And each of the volumes goes at 1,000 Kenyan shillings. Please help us to buy these books, and not only for the sake of buying them to make money, but also for the sake of the knowledge that you will derive from actually what is written in these books, which are enriching and they are very informative when it comes to matters theology, mission, and pastoral activities.
Nous avons ici 2 livres. Nous avons ici 2 livres qui sont en fait le fruit des actes du colloque de la fois passée à Enugu. Le titre, c'est La foi dans l'action, Faith in Action. Et nous vous prions de bien vouloir en parler et le partager, mais aussi acheter. Ce n'est que 1000 francs shillings kenyans.
Thank you. We also call on members or people who are in this house who are not members of the network and would like to be members. And actually, I think is an understatement for me to say would like to be members. We are calling upon everyone who is here and you're not a member of the network, please to register yourself for membership. The network is growing. We are not as we were in Enugu. The numbers are increasing, and we need more and more members because we are looking at maybe we can accommodate over 100,000 persons if you register yourselves and you member yourselves. And by this, we'll be having membership forms outside at the exit of this hall. So if you are not a member, register yourself. And this registration comes at no fee, so don't feel like you'll be asked for $10 to register yourself. It's free. Thank you.
Bon, aujourd'hui sera consacré à l'abonnement. Si parmi vous, il y a des gens qui ne sont pas membres du réseau, nous vous prions de vous signaler en signant les fiches qui sont là-bas. C'est important de faire partie de ce réseau pour avoir des informations, mais beaucoup d'autres opportunités aussi. Donc après, il y aura des formulaires à signer pour faire partie de ce réseau à partir de maintenant.
And we have various units in the network. Like you see this time around, we are working with synodality. We're working on children, women, as well as the vital church. So you register yourself at the end of the unit as per the registry forms that will be outside there.
Nous travaillons aussi en thème de thème. Nous avons des sections thématisées. Donc, quand vous allez vous enregistrer, nous avons aussi à côté des formulaires liés au thème. Ce sont des sections de recherche, Donc regardez les thèmes qui vous intéressent et quand vous allez vous signaler et vous abonner, prenez le thème de la recherche qui vous intéresse.
For the registration, we have some ladies outside there. And if you cannot raise either off, please see me, see Father Benvenu or Sister Mombi, Sister Teresa, or anyone you've seen pass by here and there, so that they may help you with the registration.
Nous avons des dames qui sont là dehors avec des formulaires pour vous signer. Alors, si jamais vous ne voyez personne, soit vous contactez Mumbi, ou bien Professeur Stan, ou bien Father Leonida, Sister Leonida, ou bien Dr. Mayemba.
So, then, the last announcement. For those who, on entry back to their countries, would need COVID tests, those who will need COVID test back home, please register your name with Nora Nontera. Nora, please, with Nora. Yeah, the lady with the sombrero hat, that's her. Yeah, she will assist you because some of you have raised, they want the COVID tests on their way back home because it is a requirement. Don't hesitate and do it this morning because the person who's supposed to carry out the test will be here today at 4.
Alors, il y a des pays qui exigent les tests de COVID. Donc, si votre pays exige les tests de COVID, vous devez vous enregistrer parce que la personne qui fera le test sera ici cet après-midi. Donc, donnez votre nom à Nora, la dame qui est derrière avec un chapeau sombrero, latino-américain.
Thank you. Now, we begin the day. Good morning, everyone. Praise the Lord. Good. We'll start with the plenary session. And as I said, today we are speaking and we are talking to children. We are supposed to have some children with us here this morning, but they've delayed a bit. They will join us in the next session. And today we're looking at the theme, Let the Little Children Come to Me. We'll have to begin with the plenary session. And at this point, I would like to call upon the President of the Congress. The President of the Congress, Bishop Kusala. Is not in? Okay. That being the case, then, so Jose can sit for him until he comes. Thank you. Come forward. You clap for her as she comes. And I would like also to call upon the chair for the same plenary session, Sir Jose Galula. You clap for her as she comes. Thank you. And then we'll have the plenary panelists. Is Eric Biar from Belgium, Nigeria. Eric. Yeah, you clap for him as he comes. We have Bella Audrey and Frank Michael from Cote d'Ivoire. And then we have Anne Mayeso from Kenya. We clap for them as they take their place. Thank you. These will be running from now up to 10:30. Then I will let you know what will follow after that.
Cette matinée, on attendait des enfants pour venir être avec nous, mais ils auront plus tard deuxième partie de notre matinée. Et en attendant, le thème est consacré aux enfants. Laissez les enfants venir à moi. Donc, ceux qui sont là sont nos panélistes sous la direction, la présidence de professeur José Ngalola, qui en même temps aussi assure la coprésidence et la présidence intérimaire au nom du président qui n'est pas encore là.
Let us allow the little children to come to the Lord. Thank you. Have a blessed day. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Bonjour à tout le monde. Bienvenue à cette plénière de la matinée consacrée à notre thème de la journée, laissez venir à moi les petits-enfants. Welcome to this morning plenary session where we will hear about the theme, Let the Little Children Come to Me. So our panelists are three. We have one group, two persons to speak as one, and two others. So the first one will be Eric Bien, priest from Nigeria, that's it, and who is doing his doctorate in Leuven, KU. Donc le premier orateur, c'est Eric Bien. Il est prêtre originaire de Nigeria. Il est doctorant à l'université Leuven en Belgique. He will talk to us about the tidings of hope, he instilling the faith through intergenerational interchange in families. Le thème de son exposé, c'est les nouvelles de l'espoir, réinstiller la foi par l'échange intergénérationnel dans les familles. So, it's up to you.
Thank you. Yes. The title of my talk actually focuses on what I want to propose, but it does not capture what I first of all would like to underscore, which is a bit of cultural history. What I will do in the minutes that I have, I hope I can, I will read the introduction to my paper and maybe I'll explain, try to summarize the rest. Well into the last decades of the 20th century, a good number of families in parts of Africa deliberately raised many children. One of the possible reasons for this practice was that children were seen inter alia as pension for their parents. That is, parents wanted to have many children who would take care of them at old age. It did not matter much whether they went to good schools, clinched a white-collar job, made much money, or traveled abroad. These were a luxury and were grabbed where possible, of course, but they were not the fundamental motivations of those having many children. It was enough to have many children around who were brought up in the community and who established a strong bond with one another so that caring for their old parents later on was a logical result. The togetherness that characterized community life in that culture has been captured under the terms communitarianism and Ubuntu philosophy, among others. Over time, and especially in the 21st century, certain shifts have occurred. One of them has occurred in the relationship between parents and their children. While bonding or togetherness remains in place, parents no longer beget many children as before. And specifically, they no longer seem to see children as their pension. Rather than expect children to care for them at old age, parents now care for their children and pick unprecedented interest in their education, health, and migration. Of course, I'm not saying that children of these days have jettisoned the practice of caring for their old parents, nor does it mean that parents no longer expect the care of their children. The point is rather that there is now a remarkable and incomparable effort in the child's extra-cultural training including training and emigration to the West. This way, parents can still enjoy the care of their children, but certainly in a different way from what obtained hitherto. Parents who are now subjected to a great deal of suffering under bad governance, insecurity, a collapsing economy, and so forth, strive relentlessly to forestall their children undergoing the same pain. There are other concomitant shifts which also tend to affect the strength of communal upbringing and which thereby condense the culture. And this affects not only the cultural but also the Christian religious setting. Thus, catechesis is given a subordinate place in the upbringing of the child, a development which produces a boomerang effect, as I argue. To remedy this, I suggest, one, that parents need to prioritize not only the children's Western educational, political, and financial achievements, but also their religious education. To this end, they should be ready to take their words for instructions in the church as they are to take them to school. Parents should accompany their children in the faith up to and even in adulthood, so that they can dialogue rather than acquiesce in the face of any threat to spirituality. How this can work is captured by the concept of intergenerational interchange, which is a manner of interaction between parents and children on values and ways of conduct, having cultural and religious contexts in the foreground. I'll try to now explain a bit what I mean by cultural condensation and the challenges that come with that. Then I will also introduce what I mean by intergenerational interchange. Of course, I've just touched on it briefly. I suggest that as a remedy to the challenges that come with the condensation of our culture. A core feature of life in Africa has been identified as communitarianism, in the sense that a place of the community in the life of the individual is highly emphasized. This has been captured in the catchphrase, "I am because we are," a phrase that tends to subsume the survival of the individual under that of the community, or one which may be justified by saying that the one who makes the quoted utterance knows the source of her flourishing. One of the widest known philosophies to propagate this trait as African is Ubuntu philosophy. Ubuntu propagates values of togetherness, cooperation, humanity, respect, humility, integration, and sharing with a we-ness motivation, a we-ness. Desmond Tutu, reflecting on an African proverb which summarizes the Ubuntu emphasis on relationships, says, "Everything we learn and experience in the world is through our relationship with other people." Thus, he compares it with the golden rule. Now, whether understood as Ubuntu, as co-constitutive or communitarian philosophy, the point is about the importance of togetherness for maximum flourishing in life. It brings to the fore the depth of care, considerateness, insightfulness, tolerance, honor, and utter maturity that was at the core of child upbringing in Africa. According to this culture, the family, the extended family, the kindred, and the entire community contributed something to the growth of the child. The contributions consisted not so much in pecuniary as in moral terms. It allowed every elder to correct an erring child, since the child was also seen as everyone's, and every partner in business or any transaction was treated with fairness. There was so much decorum and security that everyone seemed to be happy, living for every other person. This culture had its positive impact on Christian religious development in that the maturity, responsibility, and mutual respect imbibed in the society facilitated the inculcation of virtues in the church. More than that, the Christian teachings in the church sharpened and inspired even better lifestyles in the society. In Christian families, both parents and their children were excited about getting catechized and practicing the faith. A time came, however, when the bonds of this beautiful culture began to wane. Among other factors, it has been blamed on globalization and Western imperialism, the coming of the Europeans to Africa and their various tricks and strategies, and the rise of xenophobic tendencies, among others. Urbanization, migration, insecurity, bad governance, and more can be added to the list. The manifestation of this crack includes disrespect for parents, teachers, and elders by children, possession of dangerous weapons, rape, robbery, among others. In Christianity, the paucity of catechesis may not be immediately visible to many, since sacraments are still being celebrated and received, and the streets continue to play host to more churches. Experience shows, however, that more and more Catholic and Protestant youth leave their churches for Pentecostal denominations, and some simply push Christian practice aside. Nor can it be maintained that a flux to Pentecostalism is evidence of sustainable faith. On the contrary, the shallow lifestyle and unwholesome indulgences of the new life Christians testify to more sentimentalism than devotion. This analysis sketches an obvious shift in African culture from a strongly cooperative, other-conscious, and multi-value expression to a more loose one. In its present expression, there is a collapsing or a less effective level of community consciousness, mutual honor and respect, and bondedness in the extended family system. The value that harnessed. Okay, let me speak. So part of what I'm trying to say is that the way I've experienced it in the church is that people, parents, wish today that their children should be better than they have been in every way except one. My child, assuming that I'm a parent, my child should be more educated than I am. My child should have more money. My child, if I traveled to one country, my child should travel to 3, 5 countries. In every way, my child should be better than I have been. But as a parent, I never remember that my child should be more spiritual, more pious than I have been. And so the way we go about the development that we're interested in is actually social. It's more social than spiritual. And this is partly responsible for the ills we suffer in the society. We have actually forgotten about the spiritual development of our children, and we have focused on how we can make more money, how we can know more things, and all that has accounted for the moral depravity and other forms of corruption which have actually taken the stage in our culture. Now, what I have proposed, which I have given that name, intergenerational, I've called it intergenerational interchange, it has to do with a family setup, because what I have observed is that the interest in the child has shifted from the society to the family. So since it is in the family, let us focus on the family and let the family have a way of interacting among themselves. So take it that there is a lesson given in the church on humility, or the gospel talks about forgiveness or compassion, any of these things. People should be able to take these themes up in the family and discuss them. It is already happening, because when children come back from schools, their parents sit them down and say, what did you do today? And they even help them do assignments. They give time for that. But that is one-sided. The spiritual aspect is forgotten about. So what I'm saying is that they should also have a way of talking about spiritual themes and moral issues in the family setup. If this happens, it will help us to recover some of the values that we have lost or that we are losing. If it does not happen, it will boomerang at old age, because most Africans still live with their parents, with their children when they are old. If a child was not well brought up, culturally and religiously, then a time comes when that child will decide the fate of the parents who are now old. And at that time, the lack of moral courage and moral wealth that that child has is actually going to tell in the way the child will take care of the parents. But I feel that if we have a way of emphasizing this development where they are able to talk together with respect, knowing what Africans mean by respect and other values, as well as what Christianity teaches in her moral instructions, then we'll be able to recapture some of the things we are losing, and we'll be able to restore our society to a better form than the way we are actually going now. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Eric, to have stressed the need of spiritual development of our children. I give a summary in French. Le Père Eric a donné comme idée principale, proposition principale de faire attention, d'intégrer une attention au développement spirituel des enfants. Il a expliqué que dans les traditions africaines, autrefois, l'éducation des enfants était communautaire et on cherchait à avoir beaucoup d'enfants parce que l'objectif c'était que quand les parents deviennent vieux, les enfants prennent soin des parents. Et puis, les choses ont évolué et aujourd'hui, les parents se battent pour une éducation extra-familiale pour leurs enfants. On veut que les enfants étudient à l'école, on veut que les enfants aillent à l'étranger, on veut beaucoup de choses pour l'éducation des enfants, mais dans les domaines intellectuels et dans les domaines financiers du bien-être, de la prospérité. Mais on oublie un aspect, l'aspect spirituel, l'éducation spirituelle des enfants. Et il estime qu'une grande partie des causes des problèmes que nous avons dans la société aujourd'hui, c'est parce qu'il n'y a pas de base de moralité. Or, la base doit venir de la famille. Donc, c'est pour cela qu'il propose ce qu'il appelle une interaction générationnelle. Cela veut dire que, premièrement, que les parents dans les familles investissent non seulement pour l'éducation intellectuelle de leurs enfants et pour leur prospérité financière, mais que les parents investissent aussi pour l'éducation morale de leurs enfants, l'éducation spirituelle et morale de leurs enfants. Cette éducation, les lieux les plus appropriés, c'est en famille, dans un contexte d'interaction générationnelle. Cela veut dire que les parents dialoguent avec les enfants sur des questions de spiritualité et de morale. Ils parlent aux enfants, ils dialoguent avec les enfants et il estime que ça sera là, on donne aux enfants la base nécessaire pour que quand ils grandissent, ils aient une base spirituelle, ils soient aussi poussés du point de vue moral et spirituel que du point de vue intellectuel. Voilà en gros ce que le Père Eric. Thank you again, Father Eric. Maintenant, nous passons à la deuxième intervention. La deuxième intervention nous vient de la Côte d'Ivoire avec Bella Audrey et puis Franck Michael Gnagné qui vont nous parler des scandales des abus sexuels, l'autorité spirituelle indexée. Our second paper is about the church and the sexual abuse scandal by Bella and Frank Michael from Ivory Coast. Bella Audrey is a medical doctor, and she belongs to ITCG Abidjan. And Michael is a doctor in philosophy and belongs also to ITCG in Abidjan. Voilà, vous avez la parole.
Bonjour à tous. J'aimerais avant tout propos remercier les organisateurs de ce congrès, le professeur Stan, la sœur Mumbi et le professeur Mayemba. Je me nomme Bella Audrey, je suis medical doctor et chrétienne, catholique. Sur cette communication, je suis avec Nyan, un docteur en philosophie africaine et protestant. Le sujet sur lequel j'ai le plaisir d'exposer en ce jour est un sujet d'actualité, dans la mesure où, en ma qualité de médecin, je suis généralement en contact permanent avec les victimes d'abus sexuels. Ce qui me permet de faire ressortir le thème qui est le suivant: l'Église et les scandales des abus sexuels, l'autorité spirituelle indexée. Qu'est-ce que je peux dire ici? Dans l'Ancien comme dans le Nouveau Testament, qui constitue la Bible, les scandales sont bien présents. Ils se manifestent de plusieurs manières, sous plusieurs visages. On peut donc dire qu'il y a plusieurs formes de scandales et chaque scandale a sa particularité. Si donc l'histoire de la Bible se confond au scandale, c'est bien parce qu'il est question des hommes de la Bible. C'est bien parce qu'il est question des hommes. La Bible étant le miroir de l'homme, on ne peut apprécier l'homme en dehors de celle-ci. La Bible évoque les scandales. C'est parce que ceux-ci font partie de l'existence humaine. Notre époque n'en souffre pas moins que ce soit sur le plan ecclésial, politique et dans tous les autres aspects de notre société. Face à ce nouveau, ancien phénomène qui ne laisse personne indifférent, qui touche à tous les domaines de notre quotidien et qui fait des victimes sans fin, nous pouvons nous intéresser dans cette communication aux facteurs qui président à travers de tels actes, particulièrement les scandales sexuels en milieu chrétien, supposés être le lieu de la morale et de l'exemplarité par excellence. Cependant, pourquoi l'Église de la fin des temps, et particulièrement celle de la Côte d'Ivoire, est-elle de plus en plus au cœur des abus sexuels? Comment expliquer ces scandales d'abus sexuels à répétition dans le corps du Christ? Pourquoi les enfants en sont les grandes victimes? Pourquoi les bourreaux sont-ils des autorités spirituelles? En outre, l'Église peut-elle faire face au scandale d'abus sexuels et éradiquer ce phénomène qui ternit son image dans un monde en quête de vérité et de salut? En quoi l'Église peut-elle conserver sa position de lumière du monde dans une Afrique considérée comme l'avenir du christianisme et mettre fin aux abus de l'autorité spirituelle dans l'Église? L'objectif de notre communication ici, c'est l'Église. Dans cette communication, nous voulons atteindre plusieurs objectifs. De manière générale, il s'agira pour nous de démontrer que la palabre africaine est un moyen de réconciliation, de conflits et des atténuations des abus sexuels dans l'Église. De manière spécifique, nous voulons montrer que les scandales font partie intégrante de l'histoire de l'Église. Montrer que la réponse de l'Église face aux abus sexuels reste inefficace. Montrer que la nécessité de l'enracinement de l'Église dans la réalité africaine et promouvoir la palabre africaine. Ces différents objectifs nous amènent à nous interroger de la manière suivante. Pourquoi l'Église de la fin des temps, et particulièrement celle de la Côte d'Ivoire, est de plus en plus au cœur des abus sexuels? Comment expliquer ces scandales d'abus sexuels à répétition dans le corps du Christ? Pourquoi les enfants en sont les grandes victimes? Pourquoi les bourreaux sont-ils des autorités spirituelles? En outre, l'Église peut-elle faire face aux scandales sexuels et éradiquer ce phénomène qui ternit son image dans un monde en quête de vérité et de salut? En quoi l'Église peut-elle conserver sa position de lumière du monde dans une Afrique considérée comme l'avenir du christianisme et mettre fin aux abus sexuels de l'autorité spirituelle dans l'Église? Cette problématique nous emmène à émettre des hypothèses suivantes. Les scandales et les abus sexuels seraient-ils liés à l'histoire de l'Église? Le scandale du sacerdoce royal constituerait un gros scandale dans l'Église de l'Afrique. La justice civile serait inefficace dans la résolution des scandales et abus sexuels dans l'Église. La palabre africaine constituerait la panacée et la résolution et la réduction des scandales et abus sexuels. La vérification de ces hypothèses nécessite que nous utilisions des méthodes de travail. Pour ce faire, 3 méthodes guideront notre étude, à savoir la méthode analytique, qui nous aidera à analyser le phénomène des abus sexuels dans l'Église. La méthode historique, pour nous instruire sur l'histoire de l'Église. Et la méthode socio-critique, qui nous aidera à faire une analyse critique de la situation.
En conclusion, nous dirons qu'il n'est pas question d'exaltation du péché ou de révéler l'état de l'Église, mais bien d'une mise en situation présente d'un acte et d'une réalité qui domine les temps et anime notre actualité. En effet, la question du mauvais usage de l'autorité spirituelle manifeste dans les abus sexuels a créé tellement de scandales tant dans l'Église qu'en dehors de l'Église qu'on est amené à s'interroger sur le statut de l'Église et l'identité des hommes d'Église. Quelle est l'Église de la fin des temps? Donc, qu'est-ce que l'Église de la fin des temps? Quelle est sa mission réelle? En tout cas, pour les victimes des abus sexuels, leurs familles et leur entourage, l'Église d'aujourd'hui ne présente rien d'autre que le spectacle du désarroi. Elle ne produit rien d'autre que des hommes en quête de leur pain quotidien. Sa mission est toute sauf servir Dieu pour le salut des âmes. Sinon, comment expliquer que des hommes de Dieu ne puissent pas manifester les fruits de l'esprit? Des hommes d'église incapables de dominer leurs pulsions et désirs sexuels au point d'aller jusqu'à abuser des pauvres âmes et des enfants. Où est passé le Saint-Esprit pour que les gens d'église agissent de la sorte et continuent de figurer dans les rangs d'hommes de Dieu? Face à cette problématique angoissante et déshonorante pour l'Église en tant qu'institution divine, et dans le contexte particulier du continent africain, un continent fragile, sinon fragilisé par son histoire et son actualité socio-politique, nous avons essayé tant bien que mal, par des investigations, d'aider l'Église à trouver de nouveaux repères à partir d'un synode s'inspirant de la palabre, qui est un élément culturel africain. Pour tout dire, nous nous inscrivons dans la pensée des grandes voix africaines telles que Jean-Marc Ella et d'autres théologiens de la libération qui militent pour une rencontre entre l'Église et la culture africaine. En ce sens, les hommes d'Église appelés à exercer sur le continent africain devraient s'imprégner des valeurs africaines tout en s'inspirant de la parole de Dieu. Cela revient aussi à revoir les critères de sélection des hommes d'Église, le contenu de leur formation et les conditions de travail de ceux-ci. Nous vous remercions.
Thank you very much, Father Mayemba. Bienvenue. We'll translate in English.
So we have heard Bella, Audrey, and Michael sharing their experience and stories from Côte d'Ivoire. Bella said that she's a Catholic and medical doctor. And Michael is a Protestant and a philosopher. So for them, the question was, what is going on in the church in Côte d'Ivoire? And their concern was that when we speak about a church, we see a place that's supposed to be holy. We see leaders that appear to be spiritual leaders, witness of Christ. And yet, this scandal of sexual abuse has been very challenging and very damaging to the church, even to the Christians. So after exploring what has been going on, what they're trying to do is they're not here to criticize the church, but much more to challenge the moral failure and exhort our spiritual leaders to live up to the expectations and to be witness of the Holy Spirit whom they're supposed to follow. And one of their recommendations is that it will be good for the seminaries and other religious communities to re-elaborate their program where from early on our spiritual leaders are supposed to be trained to be respectful and to live up to the expectation so that the scandal and abuse should be stopped in the church. Thank you.
Notre troisième intervenante ce matin, c'est sœur Anne Nayeso, qui est kenyane. Elle va parler de l'Église des petits et pour les petits. Our third intervention will be made by Sister Anne Nayeso from Kenya.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, today I'm going to talk about the church in northern Kenya, the church of and for the little ones. We have been talking a lot about the church, but it's good now to talk about what the church is doing in Kenya, and I'll focus on northern Kenya. In northern Kenya, there are several tribes, the Samburus, the Turkanas, we have the Gobra, we have the Borana, and so on and so forth. So it's important today that we may look at the beauty of the church in the northern Kenya. And just briefly, the question is, how could the world be without the church? And how could the northern Kenya be without the church? And we focus more on the Catholic Church. And the church is a sign and a symbol of God incarnated as an instrument of redemption. And Jesus Christ also willed to remain among the people through the sacraments. And today, as we are focusing on the children, and in northern Kenya, and among the Samburus and the Turkana, they have a culture. And this particular culture, we admire it, we honor it, but as well as we challenge a few things here and there. So as we look at it, um, putting in mind that the gospel was the first time preached among the Africans more than 2,000 years ago, and God has been very, very instrumental in the ministry. And the preaching of the kingdom of God has a special predilection in terms of interest for the weak, the marginalized, and the downtrodden of the society. And the majority of the men and women who are here are participating in different ways in terms of bringing Christ amongst such people. So Christianity in Kenya is about 85%. And the Catholics are about 7.5 million. And the rest of the percentage basically covers the rest of the denominations as well as the Muslims. And the missionaries have always been propelled by the missionary zeal and the fire of God to preach the good news of the gospel. And they left everything for the sake of the evangelization of the people, and they taught the word of God, they baptized people, they also give medicine and food as well. And we talk about the missionaries that are international missionaries, and also we have the local missionaries who are also doing a good job here in Kenya, and particularly in northern Kenya. So northern Kenya has and is still a missionary land because of its socio-political and economic challenges. And some of these are caused by the geographical nature of the place, which is really basically in the periphery. And it has also been neglected by the central part of this country, that is the central government. And because of this fact, the northern Kenya is a land of mission, very close to the heart of Jesus and the gospel. And in simple terms, we have different congregations that are working there, that are doing a great job. For example, the Consolata missionaries, we can't forget this group of people who first visited this particular place, and they have done great work. They even call themselves the missionaries of the desert. And really, they are doing a great job. We have the Salesians of Don Bosco's as well, who are doing good job in terms of training the young people, working with the young people, empowering the young people amongst this group of individuals. We have the De La Salle brothers. We have also the Komboni missionaries. We have the sisters, the Neymar sisters. I'm just mentioning a few. The Nazareth sisters. We also have the Charity sisters. And this group of religious who are there, they have really focused on how to bring back the community, and especially working with the children, taking care of the girls, especially those who have girls who have gone through circumcision, the FGM, as some may use that term. We have girls who have dropped out of school because of early pregnancy. We have children and girls who also have been victims of rape, and others have, just because of hunger, because of poverty, they have dropped out of school, and this has been really a mission of the church. And we really have to credit the church in terms of their good work amongst these people. Some few elements of these individuals is that Samburu love their culture. Some have really engaged in terms of helping to grow girls. And you see, among the Samburus and the Turkanas, they love a girl child. If a woman gives birth to a girl child, they love it because this is a sign of wealth. And the wealth is basically to enable them to give them for marriage in order to get more cows and more goats, to enable the young boys or the boys in the family to pay dowry. So when you talk about their part in the community is just to ensure that it's well done. Just to not forget to mention this, apart from these children, taking care of the children, and as Christ said, let the children come to me. Who are these children? Is it only the children that we are talking about? You realize that even amongst the religious men and women, we are children before Christ. Why are we children? Most of religious men and women, we are suffering in different ways. We need also Christ. We need also to be evangelized. We need someone to have mercy on us. We have the church itself. We have women and men who have been taken advantage even within the church. There is a lot of heartbroken individual within the church who also are taken as little children. Because the aspect of littleness is not only about the little kids, it's also about our littleness in terms of our own growth, our own spirituality. Some of us are wounded, and being wounded, and we are taking care of the wounded, then it becomes a challenge to the entire society. So it's a moment for us as a church. It's just a challenge to pose to ourselves that we also need to rework on our own selves. Also to give opportunity for the members of the church to grow on their own. We are coming from a family that is broken. We have been broken by our own communities. We have broken other people in terms of our way of life, where we work, where we study. Some of us may probably wanted to go to school and we were told no. Some of us have been victimized in so many areas, and we feel the pain and the suffering. So apart from us as a church giving hope to the children and working towards empowering the children, we also have to think about our own lives. We also have to think about the religious men and women and people who are serving in the church, how we also encourage them, how we support them to be strong in their faith and also propagate the faith that we are called upon. As Jesus said that unless we become like little children, we'll not see the kingdom of God. And that's basically how I want to conclude this presentation this morning. God bless.
Thank you very much, Sister Anne. La sœur Anne nous a parlé de l'église au Kenya, spécialement au nord du Kenya. Elle a dit qu'on parle beaucoup de ce qui ne va pas dans l'église, mais c'est aussi bien, et elle a voulu aujourd'hui parler de ce qui est aussi beau dans l'église. Spécialement dans le nord du Kenya. Alors, il dit que ce qui est beau dans l'Église, ce qui est admirable, c'est les ailes missionnaires. À cause du zèle missionnaire de plusieurs congrégations et des diocèses, il y a cet intérêt pour justement les enfants et les marginalisés. À cause du zèle missionnaire dans l'Église, les domaines de l'éducation, les domaines de la santé et les secteurs sociaux négligés par les gouvernements ont été atteints par les ailes missionnaires de l'Église, surtout ce qui concerne les enfants, les jeunes dans les familles, les enfants, les jeunes victimes de diverses sortes d'abus qu'il y a dans la société. Donc, elle a insisté enfin sur le fait que prendre soin des enfants, ce n'est pas simplement les enfants, les gens qui sont enfants et petits du point de vue de leur âge, mais c'est aussi nous qui sommes les personnes engagées dans l'activité missionnaire de l'Église, nous qui sommes les missionnaires. Nous sommes aussi enfants, quelque part, parce que nous sommes des êtres humains qui portons aussi des blessures intérieures, des déceptions, qui expérimentons parfois une certaine marginalisation. Et quand Jésus dit « laissez venir à moi les enfants », ça veut dire prendre soin des enfants. Il est important que dans l'Église, les gens qui sont engagés dans l'évangélisation, dans l'activité missionnaire, prennent aussi soin d'eux-mêmes, spécialement des blessures spirituelles que nous expérimentons dans nos milieux ecclésiaux. Thank you again, Sister Anne. Now we have 10 minutes for exchange. We are here in a palaver. A palaver means we exchange ideas. We are, donc ici, nous avons 10 minutes pour les échanges. On n'est pas ici dans un style question-réponse, mais nous échangeons à partir de ce que nous avons entendu. Qu'est-ce que cela provoque en nous comme réflexion. Voilà, vous avez la parole. So, where is the microphone?
Right?
My name is Maria Natalia Ayodeji Ajayi. I'm an Immaculate Heart sister from Nigeria. My contribution is just for Sister, the last speaker, Sister Anne. Thank you for the work the church is doing in northern Kenya. Just like Nigeria, we have the northern part of Nigeria where the cows sometimes are valuable, not more than the children, but when they have a female one, also they give them out for marriage on time. So I am curious to know how much the church, the influence they have in educating their parents. As much as they want these young girls to be given out in marriage because of the many cows, it is important for them also to be allowed to have some education. Thank you, before marriage. Very, very important.
So we ask you, please, to turn off your microphone. Only when you are given the floor, you can turn on your microphone. Thank you.
Yes, the same.
Donc, nous avons demandé, éteignez vos micros, sauf quand vous avez la parole. Vous allumez vos micros.
Thank you very much. My comment goes to Father Eric for your journey of spiritual journey with the children. I agree with you. When I looked at the impact of COVID and children, we are all worried the children are going to miss education. So much. Parents were paying money and money to buy gadgets for education. And we are not even concerned about missing their spiritual welfare. I think I agree with you. There's a journey that we need to do even as a church to see where we could challenge that in future COVID to come, God forbid, how we can think about their spiritual need first before we think about their education. It's just a comment. And Sister Anne, thank you very much. I agree with you. We have a lot to educate our people in northern part of Kenya, and I think not only northern part of Kenya. Girls are becoming a commodity that has to bring money, even within the human trafficking. As parents, they are looking how their daughters can go abroad and bring money. How can we bring this to the grassroots to let them know that our girl is not a commodity or an object, it's just as other parts of the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sister. Last person in this row.
Thank you, Father Eric. I couldn't agree more with you that there is indeed a paradigm shift and emphasis of what we regard today as development or progress. And that reminds me of what Pope Pastoral talked about, authentic development. Today, people see development merely from the social dimension, economic dimension, to the detriment of the spiritual dimension. But then I want to say that this responsibility is not only for the parents and also the church, but the children also, they have a lot to do. Knowing fully well that we are in the era of media, children, they have access to the internet, they have access to social media and other means of communications. And so why parents are doing their best, I mean some are doing their best to ensure that these children, they have integral development, I mean that includes cultural and spiritual.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
So for justice, we go in the middle.
Thank you very much. I'm Francis Apiakubi from Ghana. My observation and comments will go towards Father Eric. In as much as I can agree with you that there's a problem of spirituality among the children, and that seems to be, according to you, you confirm that it's actually responsibility of the parents that have ignored that kind of education. I think also that parents haven't actually forgotten education in terms of spirituality. We all have been formed spiritually by our parents before we go to church. Our spirituality that we have now, if I take my case, is basically from my mother and all my siblings. When you are young, these mothers who will take care of you, they don't think of economic development. It's when you are at the age of 18 going, as they pay your school fees and they take care of your education, then they try to let you understand that whatever you are doing, do it well for yourself and never forget the family. So it's a reciprocal kind of thing.
Thank you. Thank you. In the middle.
Bien. Encore merci à nos conférenciers et au Père Eric, effectivement. Pendant qu'il parlait, je pensais à des expériences, notamment d'une vie spirituelle d'enfant. Et dans notre milieu, je constate qu'il y a une éducation spirituelle qui est donnée aux enfants, mais parfois avec une allure d'adulte. Et sur le terrain, j'ai demandé souvent à certains enfants, faites la prière par exemple. Et je constate dans les formules qu'ils me parlent de « Seigneur, délivre-nous des esprits mauvais, Seigneur, mon péché ». J'ai un langage d'adulte dans la bouche des enfants. Alors souvent, je me suis posé la question en théologie spirituelle, quelle pourrait être cette manière d'éduquer spirituellement les enfants? Donc je pense que par rapport à sa richesse, il serait bien de prolonger, puisqu'on voudrait que cette base s'enracine déjà au niveau de l'enfant. Toujours dans la même dynamique, mais cette fois-ci avec mes amis de la Côte d'Ivoire, dans la pastorale, ou si vous voulez, dans mon engagement au niveau du centre de protection des mineurs et des personnes vulnérables, au niveau d'Abidjan, à l'Institut catholique missionnaire d'Abidjan, nous essayons, comme je vais le dire cet après-midi dans l'atelier, toutes ces sessions de formation pour notamment le clergé, mais en général les agents pastoraux. Alors ça m'intéresserait de voir par exemple dans la dynamique écuménique, qu'est-ce qui se fait aussi par exemple dans les églises protestantes. Dans mon équipe de formation, j'ai souvent associé, la dernière fois je crois c'était une assemblée de Dieu, un juriste avec qui on a fait des sessions de formation. Mais ça m'intéresserait de voir aussi du côté protestant qu'est-ce qui se fait. Merci.
Merci, ma sœur. Last person for the middle.
Thank you very much. When Eric was speaking, I was really moved because I think it's good for us to discuss the future of our children. I appreciate what he said, but I thought I would have seen the lack of value of our cultural transmission instead of teaching of prayer, teaching of religion. Because from my own perspective, in Nigeria today, religion is overtaught. Children in the school pray like pastors. Children in the street pray like pastors. Children in the family They spend 2 hours praying, but nobody lays emphasis on value and our spirituality. I think if we really want to get it right, we need to go back to the values, to the culture, and to our spirituality, and if possible, to the values that are in our African traditional religion. That's where the value, where the response is, and not in all those prayers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On my left.
Hi, I'm John Chan from Canada. I speak as an Asian Canadian in Asian church. And in Asian culture, a little bit like African, also value more family and collective. So this is to Father Eric in your talk. We have similar experiences where Asian parents from churches also lament that children are leaving the church and also becoming more secular. And I have experience as a youth pastor, pastoring these youth. And I find curiously that the youth are not less religious. It's that, and it's not that they lack teaching, as my brother just said. They're taught in the church. They can memorize the Bible and pray. But a lot of the young people are leaving church in Canada, in the Asian communities, because they lack examples. Their parents always teach them, but at home or at their work, they are not necessarily an example of virtue, of Christian living. So a lot of times young people are disappointed with Christianity because they see there's hypocrisy at the home and sometimes in the church, because sometimes their parents are leaders in the church. So as a young pastor at that time, I have to really also work with the pastoral team to teach and pastor the parents, because I think when you see parents who are teaching their children everything except for spirituality, it's a symptom telling us also that maybe in their hearts they don't value spirituality as much as we think that they do. Thank you.
Thank you. My comment is directed to Eric as well. I was a bit disturbed by the way you presented Pentecostals. No matter how we may want to project the Catholic identity, I think these are religious traditions, churches that have legitimacy that ought to be respected in an ecumenical gesture of friendship. The question we should be asking ourselves is not, it shouldn't begin with a disparaging of Pentecostalism, but rather, what makes Pentecostalism a viable option for our population and not our own churches? There must be something we are not doing correctly that makes the citizens to turn to that alternative option. So rather than point fingers at them, we should turn inwards and be more reflective. I think that would be very helpful. But as an ecumenical gesture, I think we should be very careful about the language we use in describing other religious traditions at this Congress. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Father Barnabas Samaila Shabanyan from Veritas University, Abuja, Nigeria. My comments go to Father Eric and Sister Anne. Father Eric, as others have said, my proposal, added to what you have said, is to build up, to continue the missionary zeal and the missionary catechesis. We need to integrate cultural metaphors alongside modern approach towards mentoring our youths. Because if we continue with the missionary catechesis, most of our youths don't know how to speak their native languages. They don't know the cultural values of the two last speakers have mentioned. And so we need to carry them on board as to improve on the method of catechesis towards proper mentoring. And for Sister Anne, I was happy with the socio-historical build-up of missionary activities in northern Kenya. I was expecting to hear more. What is the church doing, apart from the practical things we have been doing, to really develop children catechesis. Because one of the difficult things for many of us priests to say is to say Mass for children. When we say Mass for children, children Mass is taken as adult Mass. For us to go into the psychology of catechesis and praying with children, allowing them to be part of the Mass, not just listeners in the Mass, is something we really need to build from this network.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now I give back the word. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the topic we have this morning, and it also for the day on children, I was trying to suggest if some contribution could be like, we could have something like 5 minutes, but mainly there is a point raised by Bella on sexual abuse in the church, and they are trying to find a modality as to how to handle this instead of, when this whole thing came up, we are all busy about setting regulations, but probably missing out the pastoral approach we should have, both for the families and all of us, because we all come from the families. How do we handle this phenomenon pastorally? And I think a contribution in this regard would be okay. And then as well as for the role, the traditional role we have for children, I think we need to ask ourselves, where are our children now? Where are they found? They're found somewhere there. And so I think we have to design to follow them. We have to go where they are so that we can be able to preach to them in the language they understand at this moment, than remaining back and waiting for them in the churches. So we have 5 minutes, maybe we can, someone with better contribution.
Yes, Sister Flores and Bishop. So you have 1 to 2.
Thank you very much. I'm Stembele from South Africa. I want to re-echo the point made by the President about the problem of sexual abuse, especially the sexual abuse of minors. About 3 years ago, the Pope called all the presidents of the conference in Rome to address the issue of sexual abuse of minors. And there was an impression there given that this is more of a Western problem than it is of an African problem. And in probing it further, it became clear that maybe part of this is denial, and part of this is the too much maybe loyalty to the church, where people who are adults now, are not standing up, to raise their pain because they want to protect the church. And another part of the problem is the way in Africa we value children, that they must not be heard, but only be seen. However, I am glad that in some conferences and regions, there is a development in setting up procedures and regulations of dealing with this. But I do feel that we are not fully awake to the problem of sexual abuses. And there are, I think, still a lot of historical cases, people who are sitting with pain of being abused and are adults now and are not coming up. I think we are still to see what Europe and America have seen. But in the meantime, I ask that really we wake up to this as the church in Africa.
It's me. I'm here. Okay. So, well, we're talking about a pastoral approach to these problems. As a follow-up to what the bishop has said, and to what Audrey also said, that there's got to be a new evaluation, from the seminaries of the system. But I think that is in order not to have fresh cases. Like after the Pope spoke, in our own church back in Nigeria, in the diocese where I come from, every priest and sister must have a certificate that you've been trained in this, so that you know what it means and you know how to deal with children, how to compose yourself when you are with children, what to do with them and what not to do with them. So we are all trained in this. And secondly, all the seminarians, as they were going out on holidays, they were given orientation, different workshops. You are going out now, be careful how you handle children, how you treat children, how you talk to them. That is for the seminaries. Then for cases that are on ground, because before, as I said, we thought it was a problem for the Western world. But we realized that we're sitting on time bomb, which is about to explode, already exploding in Africa already, in some of our churches. And cases are coming up. So what we do with families is that we should tell the children not to keep quiet. Because as Africans, we've been told to keep quiet, secret. Don't say it out, especially girls, if you are touched. You can say it. And then the reference we have for the priest, for the clerical state, makes us not to want to say what the priest has said. So parents should be encouraged, to come out and talk. Either to the bishop, we have offices now being created that takes care of this. So there are procedures for that. And also, some parents are wounded. Some families are already wounded. And the Pope says we should take to a process of healing these people, helping to heal their wounds because they realize that their family is affected psychologically and sociologically for what has happened to their children. So these are some of the pastoral approaches we can take to this. So in Africa, we shouldn't keep quiet. So children are being trained now. Speak out. If you are touched by somebody, speak out. If somebody says something to you, come back, tell your parents. So that is one of the approaches we are taking to that in our own church back at home. Thank you.
Thank you for the chance. I'm also in line with the sister, what she has said, because to Eric, you talked of spiritual nourishment at home for children, and you find that as I was interacting with children, you find that some children comes from parents or homes where these parents are non-church goers, so they know nothing about faith. So the same, we should also do the same to the parents so that as we work on children, they are also safe at home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I quite agree with Bella and Frank on the empowerment of family life. And as other speakers have rightly said, we need to empower ourselves. Families, schools, novitiate, seminaries, and safeguarding is not a one-off program. We need to continually talk to ourselves about what safeguarding is. And in our culture, we don't even have enough knowledge of what safeguarding is. When I was growing up, how I was brought up, I was touched. In my culture, it was okay. But the kind of touch or touches of then is no longer allowed now. The fun of those days, they are no longer allowed now. So we need to go back to our root, the family life, teach children, teach parents, let it be part of the curriculum of the pupils, the students, and in the tertiary institution. And there should be code of conduct too. And I would also encourage a hierarchy too, not to be afraid, because we are all afraid of the fear of the unknown. When we empower people, we are afraid that they will speak out. And when they speak out, it will affect us. But let us speak out so that the problem will not escalate in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sister. I am sorry we have to let the place for other people because it's just a plenary. We will have now concurrent sessions and discussion, and we will continue in the smaller groups. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to you for these nice moments of Calvary. Let's clap for all of us. Merci beaucoup pour ce moment de palabres. Merci.
Okay, thank you so much. We clap for them as they go back to their respective seats. We appreciate our president, our deputy president, as well as the panelists for your sharing. Please clap for them as they go back to their places of origin. Thank you. Now, as per your watches, we are 10:46, and our concurrent session was to start at 10 at. Our concurrent session was to start at, 10:30. Thank you, at 10:30. And now we're at 10:46. Please, if you have your program, can you just have a look at it? Just open the page. It's page 17. Page 17, please. Just get hold of the copy of your program, page 17. As you can see, we have 5 persons who are supposed to be in the concurrent sessions, and we have 2 concurrent sessions. One of the persons is missing, so we'll have 4 people who will be in the concurrent sessions. And there's a change a bit because we were supposed to have 2 different groups, so to say. One under the church's ministry to children, and the other one is the it's on the children as the first call for church and society in Africa. Note, we are not moving from this hall. We are remaining here, and all presentations will be done here. So the 4 presenters will be here, and we'll give them each only 10 minutes. And I would like to call upon them under the under the leadership of Sister Mary Sylvia. Sister Mary Sylvia, are you in the house? Please come forward. Then we have Father Elias Omondi. Are you there? Father Elias? Good. Sister Mary, come forward. And then the panelists or the presenters are Elizabeth Titilayo, come forward. Then we have Florence Adetunu Osho, Teresa Olanion, Maria Natalia Ajayi, and Daniel Koma from Nigeria, come forward. Then we have Father Barnabas and Matthias Kiatekera and Andy Matata. Please come forward.
Donc, nous avons un petit changement au niveau du programme, tout en remerciant ceux qui viennent de passer. Donc, en principe, pour les ateliers et les tables rondes, tous vont se passer ici. Donc, nous allons demeurer dans la salle pour les ateliers et les tables rondes. Et donc, nous demandons à tous ceux qui vont parler, aux présentateurs des ateliers, de venir devant. Les différents noms qui ont été cités ici, parce qu'il y en a qui ne sont pas là. Il y a Elisabeth, il y a Florence, le père Richard n'est pas ici avec nous, il y a Barnabas et puis Mathias. Nous demandons aussi au père Elias Omondi et à Marie Sylvia de venir ici devant pour les accompagner. Et chacun et chacune aura 10 minutes.
We are running from 10:50 to 10:50 to, then there are 4 presenters, the presentations. So to 11:30, those are 40 minutes, 10 minutes each. Yes, yeah, thank you. Then we'll see after the discussion, after the presentations, on the discussion to see if we can extend some few minutes for the discussions so as to catch up with the mass, but we'll make further communications. Thank you, Sister Mary, take over the mic.
Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. We move straight into action. As you have heard, we have 4 presentations. We'll take the first one immediately. To be given by Elizabeth Titilayo Abibu from Nigeria. Her topic is cultivating tech-wise habits in Nigerian children in a highly e-connected world. Cultiver l'intelligence technologique chez les enfants nigériens dans un monde fortement connecté à l'Internet. Sister Elizabeth.
Good morning, all. Want to present a topic on digital parentage and cultivation of tech-wise habits in Nigerian children in a highly e-connected world. I would like to begin this presentation by talking about two clips, which I would have loved to display if PowerPoint was allowed. The first is about a toddler that was crying seriously, profusely to the mother to give him the answers. And the mother refused. But when this crying of this baby was seriously disturbing the mother has no other choice than to give this toddler the answers. And immediately he got it, he was still crying. I was just scrolling like this. Scrolling, and he got to the gallery and moved straight to the video. And after that, started to watch the clip, the movie, and all that. And another child of 7 years old was also crying seriously to the mother that, I need my own iPad. Give me my own iPad. I need my own. The mom said, but you are not of age. He said, I'm of age. I'm in grade 2. I'm in grade 2. Give me my own iPad. The mom said, but you are not yet in grade 2. And he said, I'm almost. The mom said, you are almost. You are not of. This is what we see today. Technology has come to stay. And children want to own their own. They want to have access to all what adults have access to. So most children today, even in Nigeria, could hardly believe or imagine a life without technology, without iPad, without going on Facebook, without WhatsApp, and all the gadgets. Like I said, in a way, technology has come to stay, and we cannot do anything about it. We can't stop it. So what do we do in a highly e-connected world about our children that are so innocent about the digital devices? So with the invasion of new media into all aspects of the society, in every home in Nigeria, today's children's world, vis-a-vis their academics, their cultural values, their moral values, physical, psychological, and environment is being shaped and reshaped with these digital gadgets and technology. And thus, in an highly, increasingly media-saturated world, it could be challenging for parents, for guardians, and teachers to cope with the recent recommendations for healthy media use for children. Of course, technology was designed for us to use, to learn from, to bridge communication gaps, to improve the standard of living and make life much more easier for us, and not to enslave us or to incapacitate the users. Unfortunately, technology influences the current degeneracy of morality, of criminality, and violence in Nigeria as we have it today. So on the one hand, technology is good and could be very beneficial to the children. But too much time on this could also harm the children. Too much time viewing adult shows, violent shows, and inappropriate behavior can negatively affect the children's thoughts, their feelings, and actions. So, of course, we find out that children's use of devices is not the main issue. The main issue is the overuse and misuse of these digital devices. No doubt, too much time on these digital devices could lead to some bad things. And in my research, researches over the years, I found out that our children who consistently use apps, television, watch television shows, are more likely to be overweight. They are more likely to show aggressive behaviors. And to also instill fear in them that the world will harm them because of what they watch. And teenagers who play video games, violent ones, are likely to also be aggressive and so on. Recently again, there was a clip on Arise TV. Those of us from Nigeria, we know that. There was a child, a white child, discussing with a teacher that in future I would like to be a murderer. I would like to kill the whole world. And people were scared. Why will a child of 7 years say, I want to be? And he said that I want to because I like the way they shoot in the movies that I watch, in that apps, video games. I like to kill the whole world. And the discussion is that if this child is not well trained, he's going to display that in future. And this is the experience with children today. Unfortunately, parents are not so sensitive to the media diet of their children. And remember that the right responsibility of building, nurturing, and training children is given directly to parents by God and not to digital devices. And the argument here is that to have a sane and sound future for our children, it is vital now to build them and instill in them these technological wise. And what are they? What are these technological wise habits? The church on internet, the church and the internet, number 12, talked about 4 of them: prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. If we instill this in them, they could use this media creatively, just like the song we listen and the children we watch when we came into this hall. You see them, they are able to also use technology to advance themselves, to build content that could also inspire other children. So, parents have a lot to do in this age. They should always talk with their children. They should be open to them and direct, and also encourage them to use technology wisely. They should prove the apps they watch, the games they play, and don't just leave them to just do their own thing on the internet or social media. So parents should also set limits for their children. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and all that. Then there should also be technological free zones. Families should come together when they are eating, when they are chatting. They should be together without the technology. The rooms for the children should be without television or technology. So in this way, they can bond together. They can have time to pray together and all that. And another important rule that parents should, not only parents, teachers, even pastors, and those concerned about children, should try to set the rule 20-20-20. And what do I mean by 20-20-20? 20-20 has to do with use technology for 20 minutes, have a break of 20 minutes, and view something about 20 feet away, 20-20. So all of us can also use this rule, okay? We can also encourage our children to participate in outdoor activities rather than just the games and all on the internet or technology. Parents should also try to explore, share, and celebrate with their children. Don't just leave them on the internet. Encourage them, hug them, relate with them, have them as friends so that you can know what they are doing on the internet. Media education is key. Our popes and concerned adults have always been talking about media education. It's very important because this will instill in them the skill of creativity, the skill of accessing, the skill of interpreting the media directly. And remember also, parents, that children are good mimics. Whatever you do, they will mimic. They will copy you. So if you don't want them to use technology wrongly, don't also use technology wrongly, because whatever you do, they copy you. And remember, lastly, that children will always be children. They will make mistakes, certainly, but don't insult them. They have their own rights. Don't ignore them. Don't shout on them. Rather, encourage them. Turn that mistake into an opportunity to also teach and also share your own experience with them. I believe that if parents set all these rules and instill these technological wise habits in their children, the children will use technology wisely, creatively, and appropriately for their own good and the good of others. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Sister Elizabeth. I hope you agree that discussions will follow after all of them have given their papers. Okay, let me invite Sister Florence. She's contributed to this paper with a group of others whom she's going to introduce now.
All protocol observed. This paper or presentation is a result of the labor of 4 colleagues working together in a synodal spirit. And that is myself, Florence Osho, a missiologist, Sister Natalia Ajayi, who is a specialist in catechetics and pastoral, Sister Teresa Olaniyo, she is a trainer in child protection, and Father Daniel Kuma, who is a moral theologian, all from the seminary of St. Peter and Paul, Bodija, Ibadan, in Nigeria. The topic of our research is safeguarding the rights and dignity of minors, a case study of street children phenomena in southwest Nigeria. The paper we have is a result of, or the fruit of, workshops that we've had, 2 workshops, random samplings, visits to homes, streets, administering of questionnaires and interviews carried out. We did this with the aim of actually contextualizing the ministry of safeguarding children in Africa. And the paper is divided into subtitles: who is a child, who is a minor, who are street children, the types of abuses. How do they survive on the streets? African view on the care of children, the theology of children, and the children's rights, and we ended up with finding out how we can help these children as a church in Africa. Our research intends to find out why there are so many children out on the street today, and what the society, and in particular the church in Africa, or in southwest Nigeria, to be more precise, is doing to safeguard the rights and dignity of these children. Who are the street children? According to inter-NGO program, a street child is a girl or a boy who lives on the street. In the widest sense, of the word. The world of this child is the street, unoccupied, dwellings, wasteland. That is why this child lives. So that becomes his or her habitual abode and source of livelihood. Now, street children is a common phenomenon that we find in most cities in Africa today, and it is becoming alarmingly too high, too huge to be ignored. And when you drive through some cities in Africa, and particularly southwest of Nigeria, you are immediately welcomed by these children you see on the street, in the traffic. They are there begging, hanging onto cars and begging as you are held up in the traffic in most cities in Africa. And most people think that street children is a phenomenon that is as a result of poverty. It is caused by poverty. But based on our own findings, we realize that street children is not specifically or only based or caused by poverty, but the street children phenomenon is caused by a cluster of factors and not just one. And we have identified the causes of street children phenomenon in Nigeria, in Southwest, basically resulting from some internal factors such as abject poverty of the family, abuses in the family, unemployment in the family, or different kinds of, or lack of basic needs of those children in the family. So that is what we discovered is the cause of street children in Southwest of Nigeria. Many of those children actually took to the street because of the abuses, or as a result of violence they experienced from their families at home. And this takes us to look at the categories of street children. We have two categories of street children. There are street children who are homeless. For those who are homeless, they don't have no home to go back to. They live on the street, they sleep on the street. Wherever nightfall meets them, that is where they sleep. And they eat on the street. That's the first category of street children. They are homeless. The second category of street children are children who survive on the street. They are out-of-school children, and these are on the street in order to contribute to the resource of the family, or some of them just to fend for themselves. So they are on the street making, money in the day, and then they return home at night with whatever they have realized in the day to their parents in order to contribute to the income of their different families. And to this second category of street children belongs the group we call the Almajiris. The Almajiris are found in the northern part of Nigeria, but some of them have migrated and come down to the southwest of Nigeria. And the Almajiris, they come out on the streets because of their religious belief. That is for the Almajiris, and mostly they are all Muslims. So they are out on the street to beg because of religious beliefs. It is interesting thing about them. The interesting thing about these street children is that they own nothing, they have no property, they carry no property wherever they go. Whatever they make for the day is all that they have on them for the whole day. So that is one interesting thing about them. And the types of abuses that have driven some of those children to the streets, range from psychological abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, neglect abuse, and sexual abuse, which is a top burner in the whole world right now. But we are not going to dwell on that. So the studies we have taken, have shown us that different types of abuses could occur together in the same situation and in one person. And they all together could drive these children to the street. So what we have that drives most of them to the street is a combination of different types of abuses and neglects. And this appears to be so damaging to these minors that they find the streets more accommodating and more comfortable than their homes. Well, there's no gainsaying, that the different types of abuses we're talking about is sufficient, to make any child to take refuge on the streets. And when we come to look at the African view about children and their care, should actually help us on how to safeguard our children on the African continent, to safeguard their rights and their dignity. Since Africa is a very big continent, and of course with multitude and rich cultures, and perhaps different conceptions about childcare, I'm going to situate mine in the southwestern culture of Nigeria. And I believe that the African view about children is to the best of their care and advantage. Children are a replacement of dead ancestors, parents or relatives. And as a result of this, they are expected to be cared for because of the African belief in reincarnation. And apart from that, children are also a gift, and usually gifts are treasured and appreciated by the one who receives it. Therefore, the care of children in the African culture should therefore be based on this. And then the theology of children holds that the dignity and rights of children must be protected, guided, and defended. And one characteristic of children's theology is that it is drawn into the grip of God's indignation and wrath towards those who cause children to sin or to suffer. So, we looked at the Old Testament and see children, how they're understood or seen. They were part of the covenant of God and beneficiaries of the covenantal promises and blessings. And in the New Testament, and that is where we have the caption for this particular unit, let the little children come to me, for theirs is the kingdom of God. Jesus loves and welcomes the children. And he stresses the importance of the dignity of children and shows special care for them. And coming to the rights of children, the Convention on the Rights of the Child is the most widely ratified human rights treaty in history. And it sets out the rights of children in 54 articles and is guided by 4 beliefs. 1, children should not suffer discrimination. Article 2, in all decisions affecting children, their best interest should be the main concern. And thirdly, children have the right to survive and develop heartily. Article 6. And 4, children have the right to have their views taken into account in matters that affect them. Article 2. 12. All ill treatment done to a child can pass as a deprivation of a child's rights, which can be termed as child abuse. And then we went on to look at or examine or present ways in which we can help street children, as a church. Give them the basic necessity of life, rehabilitate them. We can help them also by reuniting them to their families. We equip them also with survival skills, and then we teach them cultural and religious values. And also we can provide a guidance and counseling office for street children generally. The church in Nigeria must not fail in denouncing the intolerable treatment to which so many children in Africa are subjected. It is the task of the church as a mother to let the light of Christ shine in the lives of their children by offering them his love so that they can hear him say to them, "You are precious in my eyes and honored, and I love you." This is the language that must be spoken to these children. They do not need violence because they've had enough of that. The new language that should be spoken to them is love. Having been driven into the streets by abuses and being exposed to violence on the street, the church must be careful in its approach to eradicate the phenomena of street children and make sure it is devoid of violence, action, and words. To get them off the street, we must speak a new language to them. And this is the only language that can take these children off the street.
Thank you, sister. Thank you very much. So please, we take a translation of what we have heard in French.
Yes, so as our network is growing, it's good to keep in mind that we have Francophone people here in the room. So for those of you who may complain, please, we beg your pardon, be patient. Every 2 or 3 interventions, there'll be a French translation. Thank you. Nous avons entendu 2 interventions. Il y a d'abord l'intervention d'Elisabeth et l'intervention de Florence. Et pour Elisabeth, sa préoccupation était en fait comment cultiver l'intelligence de la technologie dans leur usage au niveau des familles, surtout par rapport aux enfants. Et comment faire de sorte que nos enfants qui sont aujourd'hui en Afrique à l'heure de la technologie et des réseaux sociaux puissent avoir des valeurs et des vertus sans se laisser emporter par tous les différents mots qui viennent de l'Internet, des réseaux sociaux et des questions de technologie. Et donc la sœur Elisabeth disait qu'il faut qu'il y ait une surveillance au niveau des parents, il faut qu'il y ait un coaching, il faut qu'il y ait un accompagnement pour que les enfants ne soient pas simplement laissés à eux-mêmes. Et pour Elisabeth, le problème, ce n'est pas en fait l'utilisation, mais comment on utilise les réseaux sociaux, la technologie, la télévision et ainsi de suite. Et il estime qu'au niveau des familles, il faut qu'il y ait des moments, des interdictions. Par exemple, le temps de repas, le temps de prière. Et ensuite, il s'est dit qu'il y a des vertus que nous pouvons utiliser dans l'utilisation des réseaux sociaux ou des moyens de technologie. Il y a la prudence, il y a la justice, il y a la fortitude et la tempérance. Et enfin, il demande aux parents d'être responsable, d'avoir un contrôle au niveau des parents pour que les enfants ne soient pas livrés à eux-mêmes dans l'utilisation de la technologie. Et pour la sœur Florence, c'était comment sauvegarder les droits et la dignité des mineurs dans le contexte des phénomènes des enfants de la rue au sud-est du Nigeria. Leur exposé, en fait, l'importance des enfants de la rue. Et il y a beaucoup d'enfants de la rue au sud-est. Et Florence se dit, il y a tellement d'enfants de la rue au Nigeria et cela pose problème comme un problème social. Et ces enfants ont des droits ou ils ont la dignité. Et ils sont souvent dans les lieux, dans les carrefours, dans les trafics et au niveau des marchés. Et il y a des raisons ou des causes de cette délinquance des enfants de la rue. Il y a d'abord la pauvreté au niveau de la famille, il y a des problèmes financiers, il y a aussi la question des abus, et enfin, il y a des familles qui sont en crise. Et il y a deux catégories des enfants de la rue. Il y a des enfants de la rue sans abri, qui n'ont pas de maison et qui dorment dans la rue. Et il y a des enfants de la rue qui ont des maisons, mais qui travaillent la journée pour aider leurs parents. Donc, pour elles, il faut que l'Église et l'État s'investissent dans les droits et la dignité des enfants de la rue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Father. So now we take the third paper to be given by Father Barnabas Samaila Shabayang from Nigeria. Title is Children are Gifts and Treasures in the African Sociocultural Heritage. Father Barnabas.
Thank you, Sister Sylvia. Welcome to this session. I want to once again welcome our panelists here and all of us to this beautiful occasion of sharing our experiences. In Nigeria, we have 36 states. And out of 36 states, Northern Nigerian region covers 19 states. And these 19 states are divided into North Central, Northeast, and Northwest. And in talking about cultural values, cultural education, and the utility and value of culture in our system of life, it differs from one culture to the other. Northern Nigeria is often described by sociologists and anthropologists as predominantly Muslim. But I differ from that. In Northern Nigeria, in all the states of Northern Nigeria, 19 of them, we have good Christian population. Even Sokoto, Katsina, Zamfara, and Yobe, and Birnin Kebbi, that seem to be the biggest diocese of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, they have Christian indigenes. So when we talk about Northern Nigeria, we look at it from the tribal division. We have the Fulani people. They are, in terms of grading, they are actually minority. Then we have the Hausa, we have the Tif, we have the Jukun, we have the Biroms, we have the Boju, we have the Jukun, we have the Kanuri tribes. And when we look at the advent of education in Nigeria, education came through the Islamic education in Borno, Kanem Borno Empire, over 300 years ago. And it came to the Sokoto around the northern region through the Sokoto axis and Kano. In Kano, Islamic education would have arrived there over 1,000 years ago. And so they have systems and structures that they borrowed from the Arabs, and that influenced their way of life. And now when we talk about the Kanuri people in the northeast and in the Fulani and the Hausa in the northwest, we'll begin to see that in the last 12 years, particularly beginning from 2008, that due to the fall of the government in Libya, where Muammar Gaddafi was killed, violence broke up, spilling from Libya through the Sahara Desert to Borno, to Kano, and to those states in the north. And because of this, we see that will know that due to government ineffectiveness of controlling and handling the situation, Boko Haram started with the politicians using them as political talks, and it gave rise to so many problems. Now, in talking about this, we begin to talk about creating conflict. The Fulani, I say, by population, they could be referred to about maybe 5 million. I don't even think they are up to that in Nigeria. But because they came in through the Sahel into northern Nigeria, they are very good in strategic planning. They took over the Hausa culture, planted themselves as traditional rulers, as emirs to the Sultanate. They move on into grabbing political positions. And since political position gives them opportunity to be in charge of government policies, they subjugated the Hausa people. And they subjugated even other tribes in northern Nigeria. They took over government leadership. That spilled over into military leadership. And that spilled over into controlling not only business, they control education, they control land, and when Boko Haram started, then the spillover of people coming from Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad came up, and this struggle continued. And so when we look at this, they hijacked political power, and that is what is up now. With the advent of Muhammadu Buhari as president from 2015 till now, things are getting worse. Even as I speak now, there is much trouble in northern Nigeria, particularly around the northeast and the northwest, where my diocese is located in Kano. So, all this struggle to grab power, to grab positions, and to control money led to corruption. And because there was this deep-rooted corruption, we see that it degraded the quality of education, the quality of culture, the quality of social and moral upbringing, and it affected not only the youth but our children. And so, what we are driving at is in the Catholic Church, among Christians in northern Nigeria, even among Muslims, most of the Hausa Christians and Muslims have now decided, and they have come to terms that what is really destroying Nigeria and northern Nigeria is the Fulani hegemony. They want to take over Nigeria, they want to take over power by hook or crook, and so they do everything they can to destroy. And so what are we working against? We are working against this colonialization and this forceful takeover of Nigeria by the Fulanis. There is a major crack between now the Hausa and the Fulanis. And the Fulanis the Hausas are waking up now, and other tribes in Nigeria and in northern Nigeria particularly, to take over. And what do? They use the media, they use their position in their mosques and in the church, they use traditional setup, and they use education to stop the rampaging that is going on in Nigeria. And so when we talk about issue of kidnapping, destroying children in schools, it is not just happening to Christian children, it's happening to the Muslim children. Bishop Kuka is a proponent and a strong voice against this. And the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Sahad. And so we work as a team to destroy, to give hope to the children. In my diocese of Kano and in many dioceses in the north, Catholics run schools, boarding schools, and Muslim children go to those schools. We have more than 3 of our 5 Catholic schools in Kano, about 10, then in Sokoto and in other places. Muslims send their children there, they learn, they interact, and they take over leadership. In the university where I worked, in Veritas University, as of the last count before I left Veritas, we have currently over 300, about 400 Muslim students coming from Sokoto, from Kano, from all the northern area to study in Veritas University. They study in our classroom. On Wednesday, we have public mass. Every one of them, they go to church. They listen. We have general studies where we teach them church history, social teachings of the church, and we teach them basic things to do with morality and Christian setup. They believe these things and they work towards that. So the hope we have for our children is through education, through dialogue, through intercultural exchange, through intermarriages, we work towards restoring hope and dignity to the child. And so most of our children now, through our interaction with schools and social programs, debating programs in northern Nigeria, we give orientation by bringing these little children to God. And this is where we operate. And we hope that at the end of this conference, we are developing more things to know how to work harder to reduce the tension of political divide, so that through culture of education and interaction and dialogue, we'll be able to win our children to God. Once again, thank you.
Thank you very much. Please give me a round of applause. Thank you, Father Barnabas. The last topic we are going to listen to will be addressed by Professor Matthias Mulumba, who is of Ugandan origin, but based in Kenya. He teaches canon law here. And Professor Andy Matata is a professor of civil law, a Kenyan. Their topic is the best interest of the child still valid?
Thank you very much, sister, and everybody. Now, at the expense, I know the time is not on our side, so we shall be as brief as possible. But before I begin, I would like to thank their lordships, the bishops who are here. They have been very patient with us. It is very rare to find bishops who are as patient as these ones here. Thank you very much. Now, Sister has already posed a question the other time, some few minutes ago, about the children. Now, when you look at our topic, the best interest of a child, there's a question whether it is still applicable. Now, this term has been with us since the 1920s. Now, as Sister has already posed, who is a child? And when we are talking of the best interest, we are talking from whose point of view? And at what point should this best interest apply? And then yesterday, Sister Kevin ably put it, and she brought in necessity. What about necessity? Should we disregard necessity? Somebody starving. Should that person still be treated as a child? Somebody wants to bring food to the table. Would you condemn that child for being a prostitute? 4 weeks ago, we read from the book of Hosea, chapter 11, and it says, when Israel was a child, I loved him. And sister just asked, who is a child? In our area here, East Africa, the law says a child is somebody who has not yet attained the age of 18. But this definition is not unanimous. In Burundi, the definition is different. It is said somebody who has not attained the age of 21 years. In North Africa, Libya put it at 16, Algeria 14, Malawi, one of our neighbors here, put it also at 16. Now, some countries in East Africa, like Somalia, there's even no definition of a child. So the question remains, who is a child? So when we're talking of the best interest of a child, it becomes very difficult because we have not agreed on who is a child. So the first point for us, if we are going to take the best interest of a child into consideration, let us agree who is a child. So without this agreement, it is going to be a bit of a problem. So mine is introductory. Friar Matthias will now tell us the truth. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Matthias has been introduced. Try to look at this principle, which is very good. There are so many challenges. Like he said, there is no agreement on who a child is. How can we provide for the person we are not sure of? We have so many laws that are conflicting, and these laws need to be brought together. And that sometimes they are contradicting each other. Even in a country, you have a constitution, you have a marriage law, family law, you have a divorce, loan divorce, you have succession law. At times they are contradicting when they come to talk about a child and the interest of that child. So these need to be brought together. And the more we talk about children's rights and basic interests, we are legalizing their legal capacity in a sense that they cannot act on their own because we are calling them children. Therefore, their say is not recognized, which is also a problem in itself. There is no procedure in our courts to invoke, at most of the times, international treaties which have nice provisions for the child in terms of their best interest. And it becomes a process to domesticate these international treaties. Yet, some of them are too good. They have good provisions to give to our children. Then we end up customizing the interpretation of the laws. The customs limit the way we interpret this best interest. The way you interpret it in Kenya may be different from Nigeria, may be different from South Africa. And yet we are applying the same law on children of the same age. So this best interest maxim, when it is involved with customs, becomes difficult. And even international law leaves it at that, which makes it hard for implementation. When we are assessing the children, the people who are involved should have a childlike mind. They should be able to see things the way children see them. But sometimes we are before the magistrate or the judge and lawyers who don't have this childlike minds or mindset. Last year or the year before in Kenya here, in the family court in Mombasa, there was a case of custody, for example. The judge gave the children they were of tender age, meaning they are below 8 years of age, to the custody of the mother. The children were carried out of court. The mother took the girl, a friend of the mother took the boy. They started wailing and fighting. The boy broke loose from the one who was taking him and started fighting for the girl from the mother. And eventually even the girl was released because he was throwing anything that was available, stone, whatever, to them. They ran back to court. Now, the judge had the law of a child of tender age must be with the mother to support her judgment. But the best interest of the children, they preferred the father. That's why they fought to all their energy to go with the father. So here, the best interest of the child could not come out from the courts. They were deciding against these children. Many times this happens because the people deciding don't have this childlike mind and understanding. They are not involved in their decision making, which they should. Some parents or guardians pose another challenge in a sense that they can't provide the basic needs of the family itself as a family. When a family is sleeping hungry, how can you tell that parent or guardian to provide for the best interest of the children? How can you talk about children's rights to that family when they cannot find food to eat? These are challenges whereby you ask, can we still talk about it? In this case, we need to find them food before I talk about rights. So, the family, the state, the church, society, and individuals need to support these people. First of all, to get the basic needs before I talk about the basic interests of these children. In conclusion, we can say that time has run out, that there is no agreement on who a child is. And we have too many conflicting laws and treaties which need to be brought together to give out the same message. And no opportunity is given to children to participate, which should be to participate in the decisions they are making. And the state and society, even the church, should take a responsibility to provide for the parents and guardians. I've been cut off, maybe. I'm not cut off. But it
You
was
have 1 minute, please.
1 minute. Okay. So the state, society, and we, the church, individuals, should help the families, especially those who cannot take care of themselves, to provide for these children. Otherwise, there are no rights for them. There's one other point which I wanted, now I'm not seeing it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Due to short of time, we'll just listen to the French translation. And after that, we will not have time for further discussion because we'll be waiting to get ready for Mass. But the discussion will continue, please, outside this hall. Watch whatever you want to ask or add to what each of the contributors have said. Please meet them either during dinner or any other time to continue the discussion. Thank you.
Yes, we don't have time, but we have to do the French translation. I'm the spokesperson. So are you waiting for me? Je vais commencer par Barnabas. Il nous a parlé des enfants comme dons et comme des trésors dans l'héritage socio-culturel, mais à partir de son expérience du nord du Nigeria. Et il a commencé par décrire un peu la situation au nord du Nigeria, qui est marquée par plusieurs religions, pas seulement l'islam, il y a l'islam évidemment, mais aussi les chrétiens qui sont là-bas. Et il n'est pas d'accord. Il y a beaucoup de gens, quand ils parlent du Nord, ils parlent de l'islam, et Barnabas dit qu'il n'est pas d'accord avec ça, parce qu'il y a plusieurs religions qui sont sur place là-bas, même si les musulmans sont prioritaires. Et pour lui, l'éducation au Nord est venue par l'islam, par l'éducation de l'islam, mais aussi avec la crise en Libye et avec l'insuffisance des leaders au nord du pays. Il y a eu Boko Haram qui a créé la crise sociale et politique que nous connaissons aujourd'hui. Et à cause de cela, l'éducation des enfants a été affectée. Il y a au niveau de l'éducation, au niveau de la morale, au niveau de la situation socio-politique. Et donc pour lui, ce qu'il estime, il sait qu'il y a le peuple Haoussa qui critique et remet en question le peuple Fulani en disant qu'ils sont contre l'hégémonie ou une sorte de colonisation du territoire par les Fulani. Et donc il y a aussi les enlèvements des enfants. Et ce que lui propose, c'est que nous devons travailler ensemble pour réduire la tension et la division au niveau de la région. Et par rapport à Mathias et Andy, il se pose une question. Quel est l'intérêt supérieur des enfants? Est-ce que l'intérêt supérieur des enfants vaut encore la peine? Et donc pour lui, il faut commencer par définir les concepts. C'est quoi un enfant? Donc il y a des lois nationales du Kenya et des traités internationaux qui parlent des enfants. Mais malheureusement, ces traités et ces lois ne sont pas toujours appliqués. Et donc Mathias et Andy proposent que nous devons renforcer les lois nationales et internationales pour la protection des enfants et les mineurs. Ainsi, nous aurons un pays où les enfants sont protégés. Thank you very much.
We appreciate our presenters and even our moderator. We clap for them as they go to their seats of origin. And we appreciate ourselves for being present here and actually being patient since morning up to this time. And at this time, we'll have the celebration of the Eucharist. We'll have Eucharistic celebration. That's supposed to start at 12. So we have we have 18 minutes. Please, you can stretch out a bit outside as we prepare the sanctuary, and then you can come in maybe 5 minutes to 12 so that we may have the Eucharistic celebration, after which we will give an announcement of the program that will follow. Thank you very much, and the Mass will be here. The Eucharistic celebration will be at this place. Thank you. And thank you for our translator.
Donc, il n'y aura pas de discussion, mais la messe va commencer bientôt. Donc, on vous demande, faites un tour dehors juste pour vous relaxer, pendant qu'on va préparer la table pour la célébration eucharistique. Merci.